Okay, good morning all. Welcome to the Standards Committee meeting today. Can I first just mention some housekeeping issues in relation to the fact that this meeting is being recorded and will be archived on the internet for future reference. And I can see all members are on screen. Thank you for attending. I pass over to the chair now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Apologies for absence?
Yes, Chair. We have apologies for absence from Councillor Rhiannon Birch and from Mr. Alexander.
Right. And there's also, I imagine, one from Debbie, because unfortunately she tested positive for COVID, I think, where are we now? Thursday, on Tuesday. And yesterday she was not in a very good way, so she decided she couldn't attend. So thank you, Vicky, for turning up, being a last-minute substitute, and for joining us and for helping us. But I'm sure we'll bear in mind that you're not perhaps as much up to speed as you'd like to be, bearing in mind you've only had short notice of this. So anyway, thanks.
Sorry, Chair, just to reassure you, I have read the papers. So
sure thanks. The minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of June. Everybody happy with that as being a true record? Thank you. And then the special meeting held on the 22nd of July. Again, everybody happy with that? Thank you very much. We don't have matters arising, but looking at the minutes of the 23rd of June, there is mention made of the replacement for Councillor Cuddy, because, as you know, we should have a representative from the Town and Community Council. Karen, perhaps you can appraise us of the situation there.
Yes, Chair. Yes, we wrote out to all Town and Community Councils asking them for nominations. We received 2 nominations, but unfortunately one of the nominees has a partner on the Vale of Glamorgan Council. And as you previously may recall, when a situation happened like that before, the person had resigned. So we've only got one other applicant now nominated, but unfortunately, even though I've sent the application to that person, I've not received an application back. So if you don't mind bearing with us, and I think what I'll do again is I'll try and contact that person again, and if not, I'll do another round robin email to all Town and Community Councils to see if they would like to put forward a representative. And if not, we'll have to think of another option, and possibly we'll go down the Community Liaison Committee route. But I can update you at the next meeting on events, or even before then I can drop an email to you all. Thanks.
Yeah, so but that's in hand, and hopefully by the 24th of November we'll have a representative. Good. Now, to receive declarations of interest, are there any? Yes, Councillor Franks.
I need a bit of guidance. When it comes to Kay Shaw, she is seeking dispensation regarding, I think, Seal Park and similar matters. Now, I'm quite involved in that, and if my poor old memory serves me right, I declared interest in the past. So I'm minded to declare an interest in the Kay Shaw application, unless someone guides me to the contrary.
No, I think that would be appropriate.
All right. I would rather err on the side of caution, because I don't want to have bread and water for 6 months at Her Majesty's expense. So I declare an interest. Now, I presume that's the only thing I have to declare. The other dispensation requests I can participate in.
Yeah, I mean, that's unless there is any matter that you consider, but looking at the looking at them, I can't see anything obvious to myself that would potentially, but it's obviously a matter for you.
Thank you very much.
And
So I therefore declare, Richard.
Yes, thank you. Your declaration of interest isn't in relation to the applicant herself,
no,
but in relation to the subject matter.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Okay. Well, we'll go on now to the applications for dispensations. We've got quite a few here. I don't think any of us need reminding from Victoria about what the purpose of this is, do we? I think we're all experienced enough. We've all done these. What I propose to do is to go through them, obviously in order, and if it's all right, we've got Councillor Charles with us.
Yes, I'm very sorry. I apologise for the lateness. I was having trouble logging on, but I'm here now, and thank you for your patience.
Okay, we've done the minutes, and we've dealt with declarations of interest. Do you have any?
Not today, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're now moving on to...
Chair, can I interrupt? Sorry, before I move on. Can I just check with Councillor Franks in relation to Seal Park, because that was the application you're referring to with regard to Kay Shaw. Is that similar for Councillor Hatton?
Yes,
there's an application in there for Councillor Hatton as well.
Yeah.
I'll say yes. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't got the paper immediately in front of me, but I'd rather kick towards caution than anything else. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Oh, no, that's fine. Okay, thanks.
Right. We'll start off with Julie Aviat. This is to speak and vote on matters relating to review of council employment. She's applying under A, E and F. And it's because her daughter is employed by the Vale of Glamorgan. Vicky, are you able to give a recommendation in relation to...
Yes, yeah. Chair, you may wish to recommend that the Standards Committee consider dispensation in respect of Councillor Aviat's application and the categories you've referred to speak and vote at those meetings.
Good. And are the paragraphs relevant that she's quoted?
Yes,
A, E and F?
paragraphs A, E and F, yes.
Thank you. Are we prepared to accept that recommendation? Yes, thank you. Rhiannon Birch, who of course normally is on this committee, but is here today. This is Penarth Town Council and reshaping. She's involved as a cabinet member rather, for education and quite a few committees. She's asking to speak and vote under DFG. Vicky, what's the position there?
Yes, Chair, you may wish to recommend to the committee that the Standards Committee grant the dispensation application in respect, or the first application by Councillor Birch in respect of the Penarth Town Council and the Vale of Glamorgan Council's reshaping services, subject matter to speak and vote under categories D, F and G.
All right, everybody happy with that? Yep, thank you. The next one again is from Rhiannon Birch. Permission to speak and vote in relation to Ysgol School, Penarth. She's gone there under C, D, F and G. She has a grandchild who attends the school. Vicky, that one?
Yes, Chair, you may wish to recommend to the Standards Committee that they consider granting the dispensation application in respect of Councillor Birch's second application relating to her personal and prejudicial interest in relation to matters connected to Ysgol and sections, paragraphs rather, C, D, F and G.
C, D, F and G. Good. Everybody happy with that? Yes, thank you. Councillor Keith Hatton. Now, this is allowed to speak and vote on issues. Excuse me, I'm suffering from a chest infection, and vote on issues relating to the management of allotments. This is on D, E, F, and H. A member of the Dinas Powys Community Council. What's the position with this application, Vicky?
In relation to this application, which is an application for dispensation by Councillor Franks to be allowed to speak and vote on issues.
Not Councillor Franks, it's Councillor Hatton.
Hatton, rather. Sorry,
Oh,
I do apologise. Yes. To speak and vote on issues relating to the management of allotments, as he's a member of the Commons and Open Spaces subcommittee. I would suggest, Chair, that you can recommend to the Standards Committee granting Councillor Hatton's application to speak under categories D, E, F and H.
Yes. Is there an issue that as to whether or not he's been nominated by the Community Council on this one, though? I think Debbie raised an issue on that. Karen,
Chair, no. We had confirmation from Dinas Powys Clark that he's not been nominated by the Community Council to sit on this committee.
Right.
So therefore, the application to speak only has been requested, and that would be the advice given to speak only.
To speak only.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon. Yes, and thank you. Councillor Franks has left the meeting. Goes out. Yes, I'm sorry, I missed that point. So that is to speak only. Are you happy with that, everybody? Good, thank you. Another one by Councillor Hatton, to be allowed to speak and vote on issues relating to the Dinas Powys Library and Activity Centre. This is to speak and vote. Any problem with that, Vicky?
No, I'd suggest, Chair, that you can recommend to the Standards Committee granting Councillor Hatton's application for dispensation to speak and vote, under categories or paragraphs D, E, F and H.
Right, all happy with that?
Chair.
Yes.
Can I just say again, Vicky, he's not been nominated by the Community Council.
Right, of course.
So
I apologise.
yeah,
so just to speak then.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, no, I did double check with the Community Council to make sure, and I was categorically told by the clerk they'd not been appointed. Whereas, Chair, if they'd been appointed, obviously they would have had the ability to vote.
Of course.
If agreed by yourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you happy about that, members of the committee? If he hasn't been nominated, then he can speak but not vote. Good. Okay. So so his application was to speak and vote, but it's going to be granted just to speak. Thank you. He has another application, and this is with regard to Seal Park, which Councillor Franks related to. He wants to speak and vote there. What is Seal Park? And does anybody know? Councillor Franks probably does it. He's not here. Anyway, it looks as if it's being transferred from the Vale to the Community Council. Presumably it's a park, and so obviously they're going to run it as opposed to the council. What about that application, Vicky?
Chair, you may wish to recommend to the Standards Committee granting Councillor Hatton's application in relation to Seal Park to speak under categories E, F and H.
Did you say to speak, but did you mean not to vote then?
That's correct.
So again, that recommendation is to speak but not to vote. Everybody happy with that? Thank you. Another one from Councillor Hatton. Speak and vote on issues affecting Dinas Powys voluntary concern. Again, to speak and vote on H only. He's a trustee and board member. That one, Vicky?
Chair, you may wish to recommend to the Standards Committee granting Councillor Hatton's application for dispensation to speak only. Paragraph H is applicable in relation to the matters set out in that particular application. Sorry, there was some feedback then.
Yes, I heard that. Mrs. Tinsley, Lorna, have you got a comment?
Yes, I'm just minded that this is one of 4 applications and it can't be unusual for councillors to have these issues, but I haven't noticed, and it may have been, I haven't noticed any other similarly placed councillor making this number of applications. So is it that this councillor is being particularly cautious, or is it that we need to make some attention to this is an ongoing situation for other councillors and we just need to be mindful of that and perhaps just raise it as an issue for the councillors so they could be in a similar situation and they really should be putting some applications in?
Well, we have dealt with quite a lot, and it's a bit disturbing that here we are in October, we're still dealing with new applications. Vicky or Karen, do you want to comment on that?
Sorry, Karen. Yeah.
No, only I was going to say, Chair, is we do email all town and community councils prior to Standards Committee meetings, reminding them of the application process. And the need to consider whether they have a dispensation. It is need to actually apply for a dispensation. It is down to the individual member, and unfortunately, unless they ask for advice, we don't know. And unless we do, we are fully aware of within the council there are certain issues, and there are sometimes that we will remind them you may want to consider this, but it is down to the member, and we do, advise the clerks every time we have a meeting that there are application dispensations being considered if they want to submit them. So. And on occasions, we do have a number from various. We had some from Llandoch recently, if you remember. We did some at one of the last meetings from Llandoch. But yet it's down to the members, I'm afraid. And they've all had the training. They've all been offered the training by the Vale, and they've all been offered the training by their own clerks as well. So, there's not much more we can do if they don't consider themselves to have it. If they do find themselves in an issue, it could technically be judicially reviewed, and if they haven't declared, that's an issue for the council. So really speaking, the members who are actually applying are doing the right thing, but we can't put any pressure on really, other than to remind them.
Thank you. Thanks for that response. Sorry, Vicky, what was your recommendation here?
In relation to Councillor Hatton's application, in relation to the matter connected to the Dinas Powys voluntary concern, Chair, you may wish to recommend the Standards Committee granting the dispensation application to Councillor Hatton to speak only under category H in this instance, paragraph H.
Fine. Everybody happy with that? Yep. Thank you very much. Peter King. This is to be able to speak and vote in matters concerning the Landau and Leckwith War Memorial. He's a trustee. I think here, if it's right, Karen, that we've granted permission to 2 community councils to speak and vote, with all others to speak only.
That's correct, Chair. Yeah,
is that right?
That's correct.
So,
yes.
To be consistent, this would be to speak only.
Yes.
Vicky, do you agree with that?
That's correct, Chair, and I would advise that you recommend to the Standards Committee granting Councillor King's application for dispensation to speak only on that basis, and paragraph A.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody happy with that? Otherwise, yeah, good. Then we go to Belinda Lovelock Edwards. This is permission to speak on matters relating to Vale of Glamorgan Council employees where matters affect their terms and conditions of employment, to speak and vote. She works as a full-time regional caseworker for NASUWT. This is somewhat different in that she's actually working. I think it occurs to me that perhaps she shouldn't be able to certainly vote on matters that she's involved in. If she's involved in a case as with regard to child protection, she shouldn't be able to vote. But subject to that, what do you say, Vicky?
Chair, it may be appropriate to invite the Standards Committee to consider granting Councillor Lovelock Edwards' application for dispensation to speak and vote in relation to matters of a general nature connected to the subject matter referred to in the application. However, to speak only in respect of matters that are specific to casework that Councillor Lovelock Edwards may be involved in.
And that seems a sensible, I don't think compromise is the right word, but stipulation. Is everybody happy with that and understand that?
And the relevant paragraphs, Chair, are D, F and G.
Okay, thank you. She shouldn't vote on something that she's a case that she might be involved in. And then she has another application where it's to relate to St. Richard Gwyn High School, where a family member attends the school. Is that all right?
I'd suggest, Chair, that you may wish to recommend to the Standards Committee granting Councillor Lovelock Edwards' application for dispensation in this matter to speak and vote under paragraph C, D, F and G.
Thank you. Okay. Everybody happy with that? Good. We now come on to Councillor Shaw. So Councillor Franks, if you want to remove your headset, and that'll be fine. Friends of Seal Park again.
Chair, can I say I'm sorry, Councillor Franks will have to leave the room.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, sorry,
you're going to have to leave the room.
Yeah.
Because he can hear us as well, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor Franks, I'm afraid you're going to have to leave the room. He can't hear us.
He can't hear us.
Oh. Well, are you happy to continue if he can't hear us?
I think I'd prefer if Councillor Franks wasn't visible on the
Okay, well, let's move on, and when he comes back, we'll come back to that one then. We now go on to Mark Wilson. This is Ysgol School, Penarth, CDF and G. He has a grandchild who attends this school. These normally aren't a problem. Vicky, is that all right?
Yes, Chair. You may wish to consider recommending to the Standards Committee granting Councillor Wilson's application for dispensation to speak and vote at meetings, council meetings relating to Ysgol under paragraph C, D, F and G.
Thank you very much. That deals with the applications, but subject to what you say. Councillor Franks, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to, we didn't deal with that matter. We're going to have to ask you to leave the room and then come back. You're mute at the moment, but if you're happy with that, if you leave the room, we can then come back to it. Right, so we're now going back to deal with Councillor Shaw, Friends of Seal Park, speak and vote D, E, F and H. We've already dealt with one for Seal Park, haven't we? Yes, Vicky.
Yes, Chair, you may wish to recommend to the Standards Committee granting the dispensation application by Councillor Shaw in respect of this matter to speak only under paragraphs D, E, F and H.
Everybody happy with that? Good. Right. We'll hope Councillor Franks will return. I think whilst we're getting on with these items, whilst we've just dealt with 4, shall we move to 10, which is any items which the chairman has decided are urgent, because we had 2 applications last night. And if I can change screens, we can I can get hold of those. Bear with me. No, no, it's on a different computer. I had a look.
Jay, would you like me to put them up on screen?
Can you? Yes.
Yeah, because I'm just in case everybody hasn't had the opportunity to actually see them.
Right. We've got Juliet Davitt to speak and vote. Can you run it down a bit for me?
In a sec.
Right, until the next election, speak and vote. Grandchildren attend St Helens RC Primary and Nursery School. That usually doesn't cause a problem. Vicky, what do you say?
In relation to this matter, Chair, you may wish to recommend to the Standards Committee that they grant the dispensation application in respect of Councillor Avitt to speak and vote at meetings of the Scrutiny Committee, the Environment and Regeneration Scrutiny Committee, and her capacity as Deputy Mayor under paragraphs D, E, F and I.
Yes, I'm happy with that. Is everybody happy with that? Yes, thank you very much. Karen, if you're able to put the second one up. This is Joe Prothero. Any business connection with Cowbridge Comprehensive?
This is a slightly different one in relation to the fact that it's the same process for speaking and voting because of a school, but the applicant here is referring to the fact because she's the chair of corporate resources and performance, she really needs to be able to speak and vote at that committee on all matters because corporate performance and resources are the financial committee of the council. And obviously all budgets will go to that committee from all scrutiny committees. So she really needs to have the opportunity to speak and vote. And that's why she's put the application in.
And I think she's only recently been appointed chair. Is that right?
That's correct, Chair. Councillor Prothero came onto this election following the elections in May, onto this council following the May elections.
Yeah. So is the recommendation to approve that, Vicky?
Yes, Chair. You may wish to recommend to the committee that they grant the application to speak and vote under category E, bearing in mind, and this doesn't need to be in the minutes, that there isn't a direct prejudicial interest in this case for the reasons that Karen has just outlined.
Right. Okay, thank you very much for putting that on. So that covers item 10. Councillor Franks is still away, unfortunately. We'll move on to observations by independent members of town and community council committee meetings. Have any of us been? I have to say I have not been. Have any of us been since the last meeting? There's shaking of heads. No. Councillor Franks, you're back. You're back. Good. But you've provided us with a list there, haven't you, Karen?
Yes, Chair. I sent a list out to all members.
Yes.
I am collating that list. Obviously, with the passing of Her Majesty the Queen in September, some members had agreed to attend some meetings, and of course, those have been put on hold now. So I will be doing a round-robin meeting again to all members just to double check what they want to attend. And obviously, any reports then will come to this committee following their observations. So that's work in progress.
Yes, okay. I think I was going to go, and I think everything, because this is the reason this meeting was put back due to the passing of the late Queen. Right, so we've got no observations there. Now we move on to the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales annual report and accounts. I'm grateful to I suppose it was Debbie who prepared this for excluding the whole of the report and bringing us the relevant findings from that report. I think really it's to be noted, but are there any comments that anybody wants to make about it? The independent members are shaking their heads, so nothing from the councillors either. No, I mean, I don't think there's an awful lot to consider. I thought one set of figures was quite interesting. I'm not sure it was right. It was complaints about us. Number of complaints received, it was 32, which seemed quite high, but that was just for noting. There we go. Right. The political group leader's duty under Section 62 of the Local Government and Election Wales Act. Hopefully you've read the papers there. A meeting has been held with the leaders, and it was successful, but it really now is work in progress, because I think it's new to all of us. It's new to the monitoring officers. It's new to the leaders. Debbie and I are working on the form that has to be completed, and I think it's fair to say the leaders were a little concerned about that, and the issue of when they filled out the report and the form, where did it go? It came to Standards Committee, but whether it would go to Part 1 or Part 2. Because clearly, if it's Part 1, it's in the public domain. If it's Part 2, it's not. There's also an issue about independent members. How are they dealt with? I think at the moment there are 4 independent members, and you can't have a group of independent members because that it doesn't work like that, and each one is by the very nature independent. So we're not really sure how exactly to deal with them. So we might discuss it with them one by one, if you like. But I think there's a meeting of monitoring officers at the end of, I think, Friday of this week or next week. And Debbie's going to discuss it with them as to how other standards committees are approaching this. But basically, we're going to look at it with them in January to see how it's gone. In other words, have there been any complaints and have they got involved? So it's very much work in progress, and let's see how it goes. But are there any questions on that? Because if there are, I shall try and answer them. No, we're all silent. So I think that there will be, certainly in November, we'll give an update, but it's more likely to be in the new year when we can see how the system is working. You'll recall that at the end of the year, we're going to have to report. It's going to have, the Standards Committee are going to have to do a report on it. So there is this issue that if we're asking them, the council leaders, to get involved with sensitive matters in their groups, how much of that is to be made public? But we'll see how we get on with that. Good. All right. Thank you very much.
Can I just interject if you were coming to the end there, just to mention that the Appendix 1, if you can look at the appendix, there are parts that have been drafted there in greyed out. That would be for the staff, in the office to complete, so officers to complete, and then obviously the rest then will be dealt with by the group leaders. But that document has not been quite finalised yet. As you quite rightly say, there are going to be further discussions. So even though we've got 2 recommendations in the report, would the committee be happy then for that document to be finalised between Debbie and yourself? At a later stage, if they could give us a delegation to that effect, that would be great then, and that could be sorted once the monitoring officers' meetings have taken place.
Yes, thank you. Are you happy for us to progress on that basis? Yes.
Sorry, Chair, if I could just come in. The perhaps that recommendation could be to grant a delegation to the monitoring officer to sort of, I can just get the wording for the minutes, I'm thinking, for the monitoring officer to complete the, finalise the pro forma in consultation with the chair of the Standards Committee when the statutory guidance is available or is published, and then for that information to be shared with political group leaders.
Are we happy with that? Thank you very much. Thank you. Update on the National Forum. You'll see that Debbie has prepared a brief report on that. Nothing as yet has happened, but it looks as if there might be a meeting in November. I think we were all in agreement that we ought to meet up and see how we can learn from other standards committees, and perhaps they might learn from us. But it looks as if there's going to be a meeting of monitoring officers. Was it this week, this Friday?
Tomorrow, Chair.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know if Debbie will be able to go, but and then there may be a meeting of the National Forum, which presumably will be remote, sometime in November. So yes. I don't think there's anything needed there except to be noted. Vicky?
That's correct, Chair, yes.
Yeah.
And obviously the committee will recall previously discussing this matter, and there was a general desire to be part of the All Wales Forum. The monitoring officers meeting tomorrow, monitoring officer group meeting tomorrow, is to consider a report on the role purpose of the forum, and that can be fed back to the committee at a later stage.
Good, thank you. We move on to item 9, correspondence with the Public Service Ombudsman for Wales. Vicky, are you able to help us with that?
Yes, Chair. Generally, in relation to these matters. I'll pick up in broad terms under the Part 2 report when the meeting moves into Part 2. But for the purposes of the Part 1, there are 2 ongoing investigations by the Public Service Ombudsman for Wales in respect of Vale of Glamorgan councillors. In respect of one of those matters, Debbie, the monitoring officer, was interviewed by the Public Service Ombudsman's for Wales's investigating officer in respect of that matter on the 23rd of September. And there's one matter in relation to a community councillor.
Right, thank you very much. So we've dealt with any items which the chairman has decided are urgent. There are no other items on that, are there, Karen?
No, Chair, other than the applications you've already dealt with. No,
No,
no other matters. No.
Right. So if you agree, we'll move into Part 2. Karen, if you can arrange for the recording and the public to be excluded at this stage, please.
Yes, Chair, if you can bear with us, I'm just going to stop the recording, and Mark will stop the live stream and let us know that that's been stopped.